Welcome into the Gridiron Grind. It's week 2 of our Dallas Cowboys and NFL podcast, Creta 3 with Jimmy G. Jimmy, what's happening, buddy? I love the switch up, Mark 2A in the background.
Yeah, I said, I really need to switch it up for the different segments. So I got my Ryan Mallett jersey on a hanger. It's put up, and I got my Mark 2A jersey hanging in the background. So that way we'll all know that it's Cowboys time. It's time for Cowboys talk.
As long as we still have LA drinking wine looking over us, we'll all be good.
Yeah, she's making sure she's a big fan, number one fan of the show.
Number one fan of the show. That's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Speaking of number one fans, how about them Cowboys? Sunday night, 40-0, just a beat down of the Giants. Of course, you got to join us for the live post-game show. We did that on Sunday night. Now, I know it was late. You can still watch it. It's on our YouTube channel. But you got to join us this Sunday. It's a 3:25 game. So we're going to be live right after the game, like 6:37, whenever that game ends. So expect everybody to jump on live with us, live chat, hit us up with questions. Just a little, this Gridiron Grind community we got. We'll just talk about it and hopefully talk about a big win. Because the Jets will be without their starting quarterback, and now the Cowboys will face Zach Wilson instead of Aaron Rodgers. And if you watch that offensive line, there's a reason maybe Aaron Rodgers was getting hit early and got hurt because that offensive line was struggling.
Yeah, they did not look too impressive. Buffalo was able to get 3 sacks on them. They hit 8 total. Of course, obviously you had the one hit on Rodgers that ended his season. That really stinks because
it does.
When he left Green Bay and I thought this was it, you and I talked and I said, man, this guy's going to go out and we're never going to, he's got us. He's got our number. I said, that son of a gun. I don't think I said gun. Is going to leave. We're never going to get. And then he goes to the Jets. I said, perfect. Come on into Dallas. And now I was so excited. I circled this game as soon as he went to the Jets because I said, perfect, good. We're finally going to get a chance to get him. I was so looking forward to just owning him. And then he has to go out. I personally think he might be faking. I think he knew there was no way that they were going to, after watching our performance, he knew there was no way he was going to beat us. And smart man. It's like you said, your dad quit playing you in one-on-one about the time you got old enough to beat him. Aaron Rodgers, smart man. I don't think so. I'm just going to go ahead and bow out. That way he can say, hey, well, you guys didn't beat me. So
exactly. Hey, the last time Spank played me in a game of one-on-one back in the day, it was close. I almost beat him. Never played it. We haven't played since.
Done. Smart man.
He's always undefeated. And now he'll play me in horse in the pool when I've had a little too many and he sees me start missing them. Then he's like, okay, hey, we'll play. Let's play some horse.
Yeah.
So
smart man,
Yeah, that he
smart
is.
Man. Both Aaron Rodgers and your dad, successful, smart men making smart decisions. So
educate, yeah.
But I do really hate to see it. I know. I would have liked to have seen what they would have been able to do with a legitimate quarterback finally. I mean, we know what the defense can do. Golly. Josh Allen, 3 interceptions. I mean, granted, some of those were just terrible throws, way overthrown, but like 5 sacks themselves, 8 for loss. They hit Josh Allen 9 times. I'm like, I would have loved to have seen what that team could have done.
Right.
I'd like to beat them in the season and then met up with them in the Super Bowl. I think that'd been nice.
With you. I would love to beat Aaron Rodgers. Unfortunately, won't get that chance, but the Jets defense is for real. And I was talking with somebody about this earlier in the week, is that if that was Dak Prescott making all those turnovers like Josh Allen did, people wouldn't stop talking about it. And I think you got to start looking at Josh Allen in that realm of quarterbacks. He turns the ball over more than anybody, but he somehow kind of gets a pass. I don't know why that is. Dak sure as heck doesn't get a pass if he does all those turnovers. So, I mean, Josh Allen cost his team the game.
They said 80 turnovers. I saw that stat. He's tied with Goff for the most turnovers since he's been in the league with 80. whatever that span is. And you're exactly right. And it just goes back to what we talked about, Trey. Tony Romo, Brett Favre. One
Yeah.
Super Bowl separates them. One Super Bowl and a star on their helmet because Favre throws a pick trying to fit in a tight window. Always a gunslinger, just trying to help his team win. Romo throws the exact same pick trying to fit into a tight window. He's a choke artist. He's blah, blah, blah. And to me, I'm just going, it's the star on the helmet, man. The Dallas Cowboys, they hate us because they ain't us. They're the
Yeah.
number one sports
Got that
franchise in
right.
the world. I'm sure you get it. You're a Longhorn fan. It's just you're on top for so long, like we were in the '90s. For the longest, we had the fifth Super Bowl. So, I mean,
Exactly.
it's just
It's the
it's a bunch of hate, and I don't think it's fair because I think Romo on any other team, Romo would be they'd be praising him. Maybe even Hall of Fame type stuff. And I agree with you with Dak Prescott. If Dak Prescott's making those turnovers, they're showing pictures of Jerry, his face in the box. And
yeah, they
what's wrong with
wouldn't
the
let it go.
Cowboys? Yeah, Stephen A's having a field day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It would lead every show on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the two teams I root for, it's they hate us because they ain't us is the motto. I mean, we talked about this Wednesday, college football pod. Texas beats Alabama. It can't be because Texas is good. It's because Alabama is not as good now. Texas doesn't get credit because everybody's so many people hate on Texas. Same thing with the Cowboys. Well, Giants stink. How bad are the Giants? I don't know. They won a playoff game last year. Maybe the Cowboys are pretty good. Maybe. Oh
Yeah,
no, can't
Cowboys
be.
might be pretty good, and
Cowboys are
it
chokers.
turns
Can't
out,
be.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Cowboys can't be good. The Giants got to be bad, and
Yeah.
I'm going. It kind of the guy throwing the football makes the difference. Yeah, Daniel Jones. I was so glad when they extended him. Fine,
Me
perfect,
too. Me too.
perfect, love it.
Only thing would be better is if him and then the Washington, they would have kept extending Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
We'd be
that'd have been. I'd
perfect.
have
We'd be
loved it.
set. And then if the Eagles could extend Gardner Minshew, even though love me some Gardner Minshew, but
The guy's he's a football player. That
yeah.
guy, like him. I like him
If the
too.
Eagles would somehow choose him over Hurts, I think we'd definitely be set in this division.
Yeah, it'd
I don't
be
know if that's gonna
ours.
happen.
Be
But
ours to lose.
yeah, Dak, I thought the offense did what they needed to do. We talked about that in the post game show. The defense was so dominant. Offense just needed not to screw it up, and that's what they did. And so you can't ask anything more. Just a dominant performance. Now you got the Jets rolling into town. Cowboys are a 9.5-point favorite to win that one. No Aaron Rodgers. Offensive line doesn't look good, so I expect our defense to have a field day. Now, Zach Wilson, he's got some mobility to him. He'll have a whole week of practice. Of course, it is short because they played on Monday, so they got one less day, but I don't know how much that really affects in the NFL. And the defense looks good, so you might have to actually put a little pressure on Mike McCarthy and the offense calling plays this week. So I am interested to see what they look like if they're in a little bit more of a ball game.
Yeah, and that's one thing, like you said, when you and I spoke about after the game was we didn't really get to see, it was kind of Mike McCarthy's going to call the play. So how's Magic Mike going to do? Well, I mean, when you're goose egging the team, it's like you kind of don't have to, we didn't have to watch Mike McCarthy orchestrate the 2-minute offense and get us down there to score a touchdown or kick a field goal to win the game. He got to kind of just, okay, let's take it easy. Let's just game management, which I liked. I liked, the fact that we didn't really try to let the Giants back in it. Of course, we know, like I said, our defense is dominant. Offense looked a little, not what we're used to on offense. I think Dak 143 yards, no touchdowns, but no interceptions. So, that's kind of a positive. But like we said in the postgame show, go look at the elite defenses that have won Super Bowls. I mean, they didn't have elite passers. They had game managers. And
Yeah.
I'll be fine. It'll be weird. It'll take some getting used to, like taking the training wheels off your bike for the first time. It's going to be a little wobbly, a little odd, a little weird getting used to. But if our offense looks like that throughout the year, because our defense looks like that, and we're just, blowing teams out, and the defense is scoring all the points, like I can get used to it. I mean, a win's a win. It's definitely something we're not used to in Dallas because we've had the firepower, Dak, Cooper, CD,
Right.
Schultz, the running game. We've had all this stuff, and now our defense is clearly the what's going
Exactly.
to carry us.
And I'd rather win that way. I'd rather put less on Dak Prescott's shoulders
Yeah,
because we've seen what happens when you put it all on his shoulders. He's just not. We talked about this last week. He's not an elite, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers guy. Love him to death, Dak Prescott, but he's just not one of those guys. So, but when he is a part of it, he's great. And he takes care of the football like he was his rookie season, 2016. But then when you put the whole offense on him, he's not as good. So I think we got the right formula. Don't put it all on his shoulders. Play great defense, run the ball enough, throw high, efficient passes, take care of the football, and just let our defense take us to the promised land.
yeah.
So
Like you said, don't give the other team's offense extra chances. Do enough, like you said, game management, and then when you've got a guy like Dak Prescott, because like we said, one of the questions we got early in the season was, do I think Dak can win a Super Bowl? Do I think the Cowboys can win a Super Bowl with Dak? And I do. And especially like you
yep.
said, if he's not the focal point, if he's just a part of the offense, then I really like our chances. Because then if he ends up having to make a play, it's like, okay, we got a guy that can make a play. And
Yep.
I just love the way the defense is playing. Like I said, I'm fine. I'm fine if our offense looks the way it did all year.
Yeah,
As long as we win
absolutely.
like that, I'll be okay.
Absolutely. Around the rest of the NFL, what kind of stood out? The Browns beat down to the Bengals. Of course,
Whew.
Joe Burrow, that's his kryptonite, is the Cleveland Browns. He's only beat them once in his career. They smoked
That was
them.
last year, the second game.
Yeah, the second game last year. Chiefs lose to the Lions. Lions might be pretty good. Tell you what, Tua Tagovailoa looked really good. Tyreek Hill had 1 million fantasy points.
Golly.
Then we talked about it. The 49ers won.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles, of course, won. Washington won. Of course, they played Arizona. Arizona's the worst team in the league. So, I don't know. Not a lot stood out to me week one, but how bad the Bengals played stood out to me.
Yeah,
I was a little shocked.
Yeah, and that's
3 points. 3 points. Burrow had 48 passing yards.
Yeah.
It's awful.
And I don't know how much that calf was bothering him. I mean,
Yeah, I don't
Cleveland's
know.
defense, like we said, Cleveland's defense going to get after him. We had the under in that.
Yeah, you did.
And, and it's exactly what I said. I was going, man, Cleveland's defense. Cleveland's going to be out to show, make a statement. They're tired of getting overlooked. I mean, crap, they moved the team to Baltimore and win a Super Bowl,
Yeah,
so
sure.
Browns have had a chip on their shoulder for a while. And so I figured they'd come out and really play. Yeah, Burrow, their offense is dynamic, probably better than the Cowboys
Yeah,
on
they got
paper.
Jamar Chase.
Yeah, when you see those guys, they have 3 receivers that any of them can go be the number 1 guy on any other team.
Yeah, Higgins.
And to
Yeah,
keep that offense 48 yards, you're just like, golly.
it was bad. I didn't watch it, but it had to have been bad. Speaking of that, I don't have this as a pick here in a minute, but I do love the Bengals at home. They're favored by 3.5. I don't like the hook, but they're hosting the Ravens. Ravens are really good. They looked really good. Of course, they beat the Texans, but I like the Bengals this week. It's just I don't like the hook. I don't like the 3.5, so that's why I'm not going to give it. Let's move on to questions of the week. We only have one question this week, and it's an important question. Love to get your take on it, Jimmy, especially you have that 90s Cowboys vibe going on today, even though you're wearing a Parsons jersey, but it looks like the ones they used to wear on Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
2-A. So questions of the week, you can email us. You can go to our website, ask us on our website, comments here on the YouTube channel. However you want to do it, get your Twitter, Instagram. We're all on social media. Get your questions in, and we'll pick the best ones and ask them on the show, like we're doing with this one, with Carrie from Kingston, Oklahoma. And her question is this Cowboys defense better than the defenses on the 90s Super Bowl teams? It's a tough one. You got to go back and think about some of those defenses. Darren Woodson,
Charles Haley,
Charles Haley, Ken
I
Norton,
mean, Ken Norton.
George Teague. He was on the safety on those. Of course, we had Dion for 95.
Dion. I think
Who was the guy that was MVP of that Super Bowl against the Steelers?
Larry Brown.
That's right.
Larry Brown.
Cornerback.
Larry Brown had, I think, 2 interceptions in that Super Bowl.
Yep.
95 against Neil O'Donnell and the Steelers. You know, Kerry, I would say I'm gonna go with yeah. I think they're deeper on the defensive line. I think we're almost comparable at every position. You have Deion Sanders. Okay, well, you have you have Trayvon Diggs.
And Stephon
Okay, we've
Gilmore.
got Charles Haley. We got Micah Parsons. You know, we've got almost a comparable guy each way. I think the safety position on the night. I think Woodson ought to be in the Hall of Fame.
We definitely had better safeties in the 90s.
Yes. But I think our depth on the defensive line is really what kind of separates this year's team. I think it's just as good as some of those teams, if not better, just because, like I said, that depth on the defensive line, cycling those guys through like we were able to do against the Giants. That to me, because anytime you can get pressure, everybody on the back end gets better.
You know, I'll say this. It's 2 different eras because defenses back then, linebacker was maybe the most important position on the field because teams still ran the ball and teams ran their defenses. They did their defensive line to set up for your linebackers to make the plays. That's not how defenses are set up in today's NFL because the rules and just the prevalence of the passing game, now it is all set up about having defensive linemen who can go get the quarterback. They're not trying to take on blocks so the linebackers can come fill the B gap and make a play. It is all about getting 6 guys in the box who can go get the quarterback. And I think this team might be set up better to accomplish their goals of getting the quarterback and sacking the quarterback and creating turnovers. Nowadays, this defense is all about sacks, affecting the quarterback, and turnovers. Whereas back then we talked about it's all about having your linebackers make a million tackles. I think this defense now is set up better to accomplish the goals of 2023 than those defenses were back then to stop the run. And although that, I said, did have the Darren Woodson and Dion.
Yeah, and I agree. And it's basketball really gets this argument a lot of, how good if we dropped LeBron off back in the day, because they always want to talk about the competition. I'm going, I don't think you can go backwards to me. Like, I think any athlete today is probably going to be pretty dominant. The further back in the sport you go, I always go, can the guys back in the day, who back in the day could play today? I think Charles Haley could play today. I think Ken Norton could play. Primetime could play. I think Woodson could play. So like you said, it's 2 different eras, and I kind of hate to compare the 2 because it's never apples to apples. But if we got to answer a question, I think it's as good, if not better.
Back in those days, it was all about having a premier running back. I mean, Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders were that era. I mean, you had to have a one workhorse running back. And that's how the offenses went through the offensive line and running back. Now it's all about having a premier quarterback. And that's just how it is. And the rules have changed for teams to, if you get the quarterback right, you're going to have success. That's just kind of how today's NFL works.
Yep.
Today's NFL almost works similar to how basketball works. As in basketball, only 5 guys are on the field and you just need the stars and then surround stars with good role players. Where now NFL, there's more to it in the NFL, but you got to have the quarterback almost. Like, you got to have a competent quarterback, and there's only 10 on the planet for NFL purposes, maybe 15. And if you don't have one of those 10 or 15, you really struggle. So it's a totally different era, but I love this team is set up perfectly to how you play defense in 2023. That is affecting the quarterback and creating turnovers. And this team is very good at it. They've created more turnovers in the last 2+ years under Dan Quinn than anybody else in the league.
Still can't believe we kept him. We were able to keep him. That guy, I mean, if I'm Jerry, I'm paying him under the table.
No kidding.
I'm doing whatever it is to keep him because that guy has done a phenomenal job. I just, having that guy, that's probably our biggest acquisition. Micah Parsons, Dan Quinn, probably our two biggest acquisitions the last few years. So
Agreed.
Again, man's phenomenal.
That he is. So, Kerry from Kingston, Oklahoma, thanks for the question. And I hope this Cowboys team turns out like 3 of those 90s Super Bowl teams did. You know what I mean? So, all right, let's get into the meat of the show, and that is our weekly bets. And boy, were we on fire last week. We each gave you 4 bets apiece, and I hope you got them in because you made some money. Both of us were 3-1 apiece. Heck of a start to the NFL Dallas Cowboys pod. 3-1 apiece. I went 3-0 in unders, in those primetime unders. And if you think I'm not going back to the well, you are mistaken because it's exactly what I'm going to do with my first one. I got 3 for you. NFL is a lot harder to bet. Vegas is a lot tighter on these NFL lines, but I think there's 3 I like. So I'll start with my first one is that Thursday night game. You have the Eagles hosting the Vikings. That number is up to 49, especially if it gets to 50 or 51. I love it because the stat was it's like 82% of Thursday night games with a line of over 50 in and under. This one's almost 50. It's 49, and I'm going to go with the same thoughts that I had last week of taking the under in primetime games, especially on Thursday night, short week. I like Vikings-Eagles Thursday night under 49.
Trey, I took that same bet for the same reason. One, I just think Minnesota's a lot more lost than I thought they were. I thought they were going to be. I mean, Jefferson's going to get his, but they just I don't know. I think the under hits too. I think Philly's defense is going to be able to corral the Vikings, and I think this under goes. I think this under hits too. I love it. I had that as well. I also had another under, Dolphins and Pats.
Oh, I love this one. This was on my short list. I love
it because, like you said, Tua pretty impressive. Belichick pretty impressive too. Almost comes back and beats the Eagles. I think Belichick is going to be able to get his defense. All you got to do is worry about Tyreek Hill. You can stop that guy. I think they'll have a good enough plan to stop it. And I think it's going to involve keeping the ball on the ground a lot. And I think Dolphins Pats under 46.5.
I love that bet. I really do. And I considered it. It's on my short list. My second bet is a Sunday game. The Los Angeles Rams are hosting the San Francisco 49ers. The Rams at home are +8. Now, as many games that end in one possession in the NFL, I mean, almost all of them. I mean, it's like 76% of all NFL games end in one possession. And you're telling me a Rams who looked really good week 1, it's a division game. These two teams know each other well. McVay and Shanahan, they know each other extremely well. 8 is too many. It's just too many, especially for the road team. So I like the Rams at home, even though they're playing the 49ers. Love the Rams +8.
Yeah, that's the Rams got a defense, and like you said, the Rams are getting overlooked. And wasn't too long ago that they won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, 2 years.
One of the best teams in the league. Did you hear the story about apparently Geno Smith was back to pass, and Aaron Donald was coming at him, and he allegedly let out like, "Oh my God!" when Aaron Donald was coming at him. And that's one thing that I think Brock Purdy. I mean, maybe he's that guy. I don't know. I'm probably hanging on to, him and at Iowa State. Just everybody being all over him. But this
Brocktober.
bubble's got to break at some time. It's got to
Yeah.
break sometime. And year two is usually when quarterbacks get figured out. And yeah, I like the Ram. I like that bet, Trey. I like that a lot. I took another under. Lions and Seahawks under 47. Dan Quinn's defense can get after it. They get after it. Like I said, Seattle. Seattle scored 13 last week against the Rams. Now they've got to come out and play another very good defense in the Detroit Lions. And I think that points are going to be at a premium. And I think under 47 hits, Lions Seahawks under.
I mean, you saw what the Lions did to the Kansas City
Yeah.
Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes last week.
We hit
Of
the
course, they
under
were
in
out
that game, too,
without
by the way.
Kelsey. What's that?
We hit the under in that game.
Oh,
too,
yeah,
by the way.
absolutely. And so they did that to Mahomes, and of course, he's out without Kelsey, but Lions are for real. They're in my Lions and Rams. I still think it's the big three at the top: Cowboys, Eagles, 49ers. It's those three. But then I think 4 and 5 are Rams and Lions. I really do. And then I don't know. I'm not a believer in the Vikings.
No, I'm not anymore, man. I'm done after
Giants,
week one.
not a believer in the Giants.
No.
The Seahawks made the playoffs last year. Not a big believer in them. So, I mean, I think it's the big three, and I think the Rams and Lions are right there. So, all right, my third and final bet for the week, Monday night game. I love the Steelers at home getting 3 against the Browns. Now, we talked about earlier in the show how the Browns dominated the Bengals. I get that. I understand that. The Steelers got dominated by the 49ers. But Mike Tomlin, he always goes above 500. He's never had a season under 500. And if you just play the odds there, he lost last week. So the odds are he's got a pretty significant chance of winning this game to keep on pace with his 500. It's a division game. It's Monday night, an extra day to prepare. I expect the Steelers to look vastly improved from week 1 to week 2. At home, Steeler Nation, towel heads will be waving. They'll be pumped for a Monday night primetime game. So I like the Steelers hosting the Browns +3.
I like it. I like it. Mine, I took we'll take a road favorite in this one. Chargers, Titans, Chargers -3. I think offensively, the Chargers are just going to have too much for the Titans to handle with. Tannehill had 3 interceptions last week. I don't see this one. And that was to the Saints. They lost 16-15. They just Tennessee's got problems.
Yeah.
And I think the Chargers are going to be able to come in and more than cover. They're going to walk into Nashville, and it might as well be a home game. I don't think the crowd's going to matter. Give me Chargers -3. And then for my last one, I'm going to go Saints and Panthers. No, you know what? I'm going to save that one. That's it. I'm going to stay with 4.
Stay with 4? All right.
Yep, staying with 4. Staying with 4.
Well,
I was going to say Saints and Panthers under 39.5, but I'm going to come back to that. I may do with that with what you want. I'm not officially calling that.
Okay.
I just think that's 2 teams terribly off. They're terrible on offense. So,
you can't ever go wrong taking under with 2 terrible offenses.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's 7. We got 7. I got 3. Vikings, Eagles under 49, Rams +8, Steelers +3. And then Jimmy has Vikings, Eagles under 49 as well. Dolphins, Pats under 46.5. Lions, Seahawks under 47. Chargers -3.
Yep.
Last week we were hot. Combined 6 and 2. I'm not great at math, but that's a winning week.
Yep.
You having a steak dinner on us if you took our bets last week. So fade us if you want. At your own risk. So that'll do it for this week's Dallas Cowboys NFL pod. Must join us for the live post-game show live on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. Get your comments in. It only goes 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes at most right after the game. So join us, get your questions in. We'll talk about it. Our little Gridiron Grind community live, talk about the Cowboys victory over the Jets coming up on Sunday. So join us live, YouTube. Just click in live, start chatting away, get your questions in. And then Jimmy G's Big Three up yesterday, college on gridirongrindsports.com. Be sure and check that out. Of course, our college and NFL pod was yesterday. College pod was yesterday. NFL pod today. Coffee with Creta. I will have week 3 video with those Coffee with Creta bets. Check us out, gridirongrindsports.com or an Apple Podcast, and also YouTube channel as well. So, Jimmy, final thoughts signing off this week.
It's the Cowboys podcast. This one is, and Mike knows we didn't really talk a whole lot about them last week. Well, there wasn't a whole lot to talk about, man. It's just domination. You drop Shaq off at the boys' club, you expect him to dominate. You're not going to write in the paper about it. And that's exactly what this episode was, man. You go in there, handle your business, and you stomped them out. So, yeah, so that's kind of what, we just skimmed over it. So if you're sitting there wondering, man, it's already over. Yeah, there wasn't much to talk about. It was just a lot against not enough.
Also true. Get that postgame show. We talked about it for 15, 18 straight minutes on the postgame show.
Yeah, postgame show. I think this game, I'm excited. Like I said, I circled it when Rodgers went to the Jets. I'm still excited about it because we're going to have 2 elite defenses facing off.
True.
And we're going to see, I think we're going to see what the true Cowboys offense is going to be with Magic Mike calling plays. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see. It's a great measuring stick for the Cowboys going forward.
I agree. If you look at our schedule, the first 4-5 games, we really need to be, if we want to be where we want to be at the end of the season, 4-5-0, because then we have about a 4 or 5 game stretch where it's top notch. It's Eagles, it's Niners, it's on the road to a couple of teams. I mean, it is. So these first 4, I think it's 4-4. So these first 4 games, it's crucial. Now that Rodgers is out, got to get this dub, got to win the next 2, be 4-0, and then you got a stretch of about 4 where it's dicey, and then we'll really find out what this team is made of playing the Eagles and 49ers. So it's a big one. Need to get it. Like I said, 2 great defenses. I think our offense is better, and that's why I think the Cowboys win. 10 is a lot. I think it's 9.5. I'd almost be inclined to take the Jets, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say the Cowboys win by a touchdown. 27-20 Cowboys.
I'll take it.
That's what I'm going to go with. So, all right, Creed 3 for Jimmy G. Thanks for joining us. Check us out, gridirongrindsports.com. And we'll see you next Wednesday with our college football pod. We wrap up everything there is to talk about in college football. Jimmy, we'll see you. Have a great weekend, bud.
You too, buddy. Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.